Hello, wrestling fans. This is Sal LaSardo reporting in from Orlando, Florida. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoyed all that wonderful turkey and spent time with your family, friends, wherever you may be. I had Buddy with me. It was just the two of us, so we got another edition of Rough Cuts this week. And I'm going to talk about a topic that I have not really touched on before and that gets lost in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. And referees. That's right, referees. The referees. What about the third man, the third person inside that squared circle, that striped shirt, blue shirt, the man in charge that's got to have an awful amount of responsibility. So we're going to talk about referees and their role and their importance in making a match go and how vital they are to the world of sports entertainment. So please be advised, these are my opinions only. They're not affiliated with any wrestling promotion or my dear friend, Bill Apter. Let's get right to it. Referees, they've been around. I mean, you can't have a wrestling match of any kind without a referee. Some of the most famous referees that came along are obviously the Hebner brothers. Everybody knows the Hebner brothers. Dick Worley, the late Dick Worley, the most dangerous referee, corrupt referee in the history of the WWF, WWE, Andy Davis, who belongs in the Hall of Fame. Charles Robertson, who's currently still going strong. He became like Little Nate or something back in the WCW days. Pat Patterson was a referee turned wrestler as well. Yes, he did referee some matches, some big matches. How about the late Joey Morella, Gorilla Monsoon's son? Joey Morella was the referee for the main event for WrestleMania 3 between Hogan and Andre. Nick Patrick is another one, another fine standout. How about some of the women? Aubrey Edwards is in AEW. We've got some women now getting involved in the business. And the evolution of these guys, the role that they play. 1, 2, 2.5. Oh, so close. Yeah, very close. They've got a lot of responsibility, and they don't get enough credit or recognition that they truly deserve in the world of sports entertainment. And the Hebner brothers, I believe, are in Impact Hall of Fame, but the WWE is yet to induct a referee. And it's time that they get inducted into the Hall of Fame. The amount of responsibility that these guys have, and now women have, and had back in the day, I mean, they've taken bumps, gotten through the ropes. They've got to get a crowd reaction themselves, like when the heels are in charge and the crowd's like, "He made the tag, he made it," and the referee didn't see it. And then they got to do that count, 1, 2, 2, not quite 3. They have so much of that responsibility that it's even just as difficult as the performers themselves executing the moves. They also have to know if someone is really injured for real, and maybe they have to stop the match and signal, or they got to sell it like that person's really injured and make you really believe that person's really injured, but they're really not. So much goes into it. And not only that, but they referee multiple matches on a given night, especially on house shows. And they take their bumps. They're in very, very good condition, just as the performers themselves. I mean, they are a vital, vital role in professional wrestling. They got to do the counts. They got to go check on the wrestlers. They got to tell you, like when they get the signal from the back, of course, camera, movie magic, they get the signal themselves when it may be time to end the match or finish the match. And they have to also know what the finish is going to be when they talk to the wrestlers in the back, if they're able to take it all the way through. So a lot of preparation goes into a referee officiating an actual wrestling match. You know, you get maybe like Hogan and Savage and Steamboat from WrestleMania 3, they had all those near falls. Referee had to know when was the final fall going to happen. And he had to know when to count 1, 2, 3. They had to know all this ahead of time. The amount of knowledge and preparation of working with the promoter, working with the performers, the relationships that they establish, and to be able to go out there in front of hundreds of thousands of people night in and night out, to be able to deliver and get that reaction from us, from you, because you got to know when to cheer and when to boo the ref, and also when you had the corrupt referees as well. You know, their job was to get the reaction, no matter what. And they're really the unsung heroes that really just get lost. And they don't get enough credit. The Nick Patricks of the world, the Charles Robinsons, Aubrey Edwards, the female referee in AEW, and WWE now has a couple. But every referee, doesn't matter who it is, when they put on that shirt and gear and they go in that squared circle, they have an enormous amount of responsibility to you, the fans, which you don't really notice, but you do notice. They get noticed. They have to get noticed because they're part of the show. It's not like a baseball umpire or a football referee or, you know, a pro sports where you don't, their job is not to be noticed, but their job is to do their job. Referee's job is to be noticed and get a crowd reaction as well, depending on how the match is going. In certain cases, like a steel cage match where they wait outside the ring and they just gotta, you know, that's something else. But more often than not, how about those bumps that they take from the heels? They get thrown through the ropes, they go over the ropes, they get knocked out allegedly, and they gotta stay down for a certain period of time until it's time for them to get up and then 1, 2, 3, and the match is over. You don't realize how much goes into that preparation. And they really are truly the unsung heroes in sports entertainment. They really are. They are truly the most unsung heroes in all of sports entertainment. I did meet Dick Worley once. I met Dick Worley once at a house show, very briefly. It was back in the 80s, around the time I met Bill Apter. And it was just very brief. I said hello. He signed my book. He signed it, Dick Worley #1, Danny Davis #1000. That was the night that Danny Davis was inside the steel cage with George Steele. That was, I believe, the night that I met Bill Apter. But it's the years blend together as I've gotten older. But he was really cool. He was really nice. And I've read a lot about him online, and he was very nice. It's unfortunate he passed away. I don't know if he would want to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think it'd probably be an honor, but I think that it's time that the WWE and more Hall of Fames acknowledge their work like they do in other sports as well. In pro sports, officials are acknowledged for their work. And I think it's time that the WWE acknowledges what they mean to the business, because without them you don't have a wrestling match of any kind. You don't have a wrestling match because you need an official. You need that other person in the ring. You have guest referees, but I'm talking the actual true officials, the Charles Robinson type guys that are major part of the shows, the late Joey Morellas, you know, those guys. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And they just get lost and forgotten about, and I think it's time that we acknowledge them for the Hall of Fame. Danny Davis, definitely. Charles Robinson, Nick Patrick, the late Dick Worley, the Hebner brothers. Like I said, I think the Hebner brothers, I believe, are in Impact Hall of Fame, but they have not been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. But I think it's time that they do get acknowledged. And that's the whole point of doing this Rough Cuts, is to spread the word that without referees, you don't have a match. Just like baseball, if you don't have umpires, you don't have baseball, because who's going to call the game? Who's going to call balls and strikes, safe out, and what have you? So they are just as important of the show, and you don't have to realize that they have a tremendous amount of responsibility. And the bigger the match, the bigger the responsibility. They've got to be able to execute. And believe me, when they walk through that curtain, they treat every match as though it's a main event. They have to. That's their job. And they're very well trained. Believe me, before they get in front of the camera, they are just as well trained as the performers themselves. They've got to know where to be and position themselves in the ring at all times. They got to know when to go in and break it up, count 1, 2, 3, and they go up to the top. You don't realize, if you paid attention, just how much energy and work is spent on what these men and women do now. And I'm glad to see that we have the women getting involved as well, and that the doors have been opened more and more for female referees to get inside the squared circle to call the matches as well. If men and women, the women are doing both genders. And it's time that they got the credit and recognition where it's long overdue. And that's this point of Rough Cuts today. Referees, without them, We don't have wrestling. In any promotion, anywhere in the world, you need that other person inside that squared circle, and they need to get the credit, and they need to be acknowledged more and more. So that's my take on referees and some of the best referees that I touched on that are, some are with us, some are not still with us, but we need to get them in the Hall of Fame. I would want to put Danny Davis in. Yes, Danny Davis would be the most ideal to go. Nick Patrick from the NWA WCW days, yes, he became corrupt, but he was still a vital part. Charles Robinson, the Hebners, yeah, they're still alive. They need to go in, absolutely. So I want to see them go in to the Hall of Fame and get acknowledged more year in and year out and get the credit and recognition they do. I want to get to a quick question. I'm going to wrap this up here at the 11-minute mark. Mike from Orlando. Hey Sal, I heard something about Medusa. Alundra Blaze may come out of retirement. She's been asking about opponents. Who would you want to see Alundra Blaze, Medusa, face in a potential farewell match if you can pick one person? Thank you, Mike. Thank you. I posted it on Twitter. I tweeted her, but she didn't tweet me back about it. I honestly, tell you the truth, I would like to see Medusa face Mickie James. That would be my pick. Mickie James and Medusa for Medusa's farewell match. If Medusa was to have one more match, and she wants to, I know Mickie is not in the WWE, but who said she had to wrestle in the WWE? I would pick Medusa to face Mickie James. Two Hall of Famers, one last time. Why not? Medusa doesn't need to face someone like Rhea Ripley and get her over. Someone like Rhea Ripley's already over. Or go down to AEW and face like Tay Conte or Jayana or something. She doesn't need to do that. I want to see a match. And I think Mickie James would be the perfect fit. I think they would complement each other's styles, and I think it'll be a heck of a match. And I would love to see Medusa and Mickie James. If Medusa was to have a farewell match, that's who I would pick. That's who I'd pick. Okay? With that being said, on my next edition coming up, I'm going to do my year-end awards. Match of the Year, Performer of the Year, Men and Women. We're going to get into the year awards. That's because it's December now. I'm going to talk about my year awards. I know there's going to be a whole bunch of discrepancy. We're going to get an argument on it. But I'm going to give you my opinion, what I would think, which would be, what I think would be the match of the year, you know, Performer of the Year, Breakout Star of the Year. I'm going to come up with some things, and we're going to talk about on the next edition of Rough Cuts. That'll be a real treat. So you're going to look for that for the next edition. But this edition, again, referees. Without them, where would we be? We got to acknowledge them. So, and again, Mike, thank you for the question. I hope that answered. Yeah, Medusa and Mickie for Medusa's final farewell match if she was to have one. With that being said, for this edition of Rough Cuts, hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. May all your matches be a main event. I'll see you next week with another edition, the Year-End Awards, coming up on next edition of Rough Cuts. Have a good one, guys.